I'm a tiny taggart in a brave new world, gonna free this town. If you didn't know about me already, well, you know it now.
Hi, and welcome to Objectivist Girl. My name is Lauren Rumpler, if you haven't met me already. Behind me is the Free State Project flag, because I'm filming at the Free State Project headquarters in New Hampshire. So you guys should check out the link below to sign up for the Free State Project and come out here and hang out with all of us. So today, guys, we are going to be reading the last 6 chapters of Anthem. Like we promised, it's been a month. So equality actually leaves us for a month. And so this is actually perfect because exactly a month has lapsed. So now we can do it in the exact time frame. So, and it just happened that this is where ethics comes into play and personal ethics. And that's what we're going to be discussing for the next month. So let's go ahead and get started and talk about the last 6 chapters. So in chapter 6, we find our main character, Equality, 30 days later. He's not written for some time because he's been caught. He left too late one night and arrived home and was noticed by the council of the home. He refused to tell them where he was, so he was sent to the Palace of Corrective Detention and lashed. Throughout all of this vicious lashing, he never told them about the light or his underground location. So Equality then escapes the Palace of Corrective Detention and then goes to the Palace of the World Council to show them his light. In this society, jails are not watched and the doors are not locked. Men in this society do what they're told so they don't have to watch them. Can you just imagine this? I can't. So Equality writes to us the night after he visits the World Council of Scholars. He tells us about the experience that he had. He went to visit them and they were angry that a street sweeper would visit the World Council of Scholars. When he had calmed them by showing them his humbleness, he showed them the light. The council was still angry. Equality asked if they had anything to say. They were angry about him working on it alone, and they were shouting out ways to kill him. Equality did not care what happened to him, but what about the light? The World Council reminded him that even though he thought he'd found a new power that was useful, he was wrong, because this is not known by all men, so it is not right. Remember, we discussed this last month, and as you remember from the videos that week, that even though it is not known by all, knowledge is knowable outside of our perception, and reality exists outside of our perception. So an individual can know something independently of a group. So knowledge is knowable independently. They told him the box was useless and they were going to do away with it to prevent the candle makers from losing their jobs. This may sound strange to you, but things like this happen now. We try to prevent innovation from happening faster through private companies and stick with public employment because it will employ more people. This is not a good approach. So Equality ran with the box of light in his hands, and he ran into the uncharted forest and vowed never to come back, because surely the beasts of the forest would eat him anyway, but he would miss the beautiful woman from the village, the golden one. Equality finds out in this chapter how wonderful it is to be in the forest. He explores new things he's never seen, does what he pleases only for himself, and makes dinner for himself. He does this of his own 2 hands, and he says it's never tasted better. He also saw his face in the stream for the first time in his life. There were no mirrors in this society, so it was shocking to him. It was a beautiful day full of wonder and discovery. In this chapter, the Golden One has wandered into the forest to find Equality. Turns out the news spread to her and she had to come to him. She said she wished to be nowhere else. Equality said, "Our dearest one, fear nothing of the forest. There is no danger in solitude. We have no need of our brothers. Let us forget their food and our evil. Let us forget all the things save that we are together, and there is joy as a bond between us. Give us your hand. Look ahead. It is our own world, Golden One, a strange, unknown world, but our own." They wandered the forest, and he taught her how to survive, and they wandered forward for days. Equality said, "Everything which comes from the many is good. Everything which comes from one is evil. This have we been taught since our first breath. We have broken the law, but we've never doubted it. Yet now, as we walk through the forest, we are learning to doubt. There is no life for men, save in useful toil for the good of all their brothers. But we lived not, save the joy for our brothers. But the only things which taught us joy were the power we created in our wires and the golden one. And both of these joys belong to us alone. They come from us alone, and they bear no relation to our brothers. And they do not concern our brothers in any way. Thus do we wonder. The golden one then said, "We love you." She was frustrated because it didn't seem right. They felt torn for some word they could not find. In this chapter, they find a house with a mirror, and the golden one stares for hours because she's never seen herself before. They also find out that men used to live alone because of the one bed in the house. This is amazing to them because they've lived with hundreds of others their whole lives and have never had one moment alone because being alone is considered evil. They also found manuscripts, old books, and they vowed to read them. They decided that they would make this their house, which they shall spend the rest of their lives in. Now, we're to chapter 11 and 12, and I'm going to read these to you because they're so incredible and my words can't possibly do them justice. I am, I think, I will. My hands, my spirit, my sky, my forest, this earth of mine. What must I say besides? These are the words. This is the answer. I stand here on the summit of this mountain. I lift my head high and I spread my arms. This, my body and my spirit, this is the end of my quest. I wish to know the meaning of things. I am the meaning. I wish to find a warrant for being. I need no warrant for being, and no word of sanction upon my being. I am the warrant and the sanction. It is my eyes which see, and the sight of my eyes grants beauty to the earth. It is my ears which hear, and the hearing of my ears gives its song to the world. It is my mind which thinks, and the judgment of my mind is the only searchlight that can find the truth. It is my will which chooses, and the choice of my will is the only edict I must respect. Many words have been granted to me, and some are wise, and some are false, but only 3 are holy. I will it. Whatever road I take, the guiding star is within me, the guiding star and the lodestone which point the way. They point in one direction. They point to me. I know not if this earth on which I stand is the core of the universe, or if it is but a speck of dust lost in eternity. I know not, and I care not, for I know what happiness is possible to me on earth, and my happiness need no higher aim to vindicate it. My happiness is not the means to any end. It is the end. It is its own goal. It is its own purpose. Neither am I the means to any end others may wish to accomplish. I am not a tool for their use. I am not a servant to their needs. I am not a bandage for their wounds. I am not a sacrifice on their altars. I'm a man. This miracle of mine is to own and to keep, and mine to guard, and mine to use, and mine to kneel before. I do not surrender my treasures, nor do I share them. The fortune of my spirit is not to be blown into coins of brass and flung into the wind as alms for the poor of spirit. I guard my treasures, my thought, my will, my freedom, and the greatest of these is freedom. I owe nothing to my brothers, nor do I gather debts from them. I ask none to live for me, nor do I live for any others. I covet no man's soul, nor is my soul theirs to covet. I am neither foe nor friend to my brothers, but such as each of them shall deserve of me. And to earn my love, my brothers must do more than to have been born. I do not grant my love without reason, nor to any chance passer-by who may wish to claim it. I honor men with my love. My honor is a thing to be earned. I shall choose my friends among men, but neither slave nor master, and I shall choose only such as please me, and them I shall love and respect, but neither command nor obey. And we shall join our hands when we wish, or walk alone when we so desire. For in the temple of our spirit, each man is alone. Each man keeps his temple untouched and undefiled. Then let him join hands with others if he wishes, but only beyond his holy threshold. For the word we must never be spoken, save by one's choice and as a second thought. This word must never be placed first within man's soul, else it become a monster, the root of all the evils on earth, the root of man's torture by men, and of an unspeakable lie. The word we is a lime poured over men, which sets and hardens to stone, and crushes all beneath it, and with which is white and which is black are lost equally in the gray of it. It is the word by which the depraved steal the virtue of the good, by which the weak steal the might of the strong, by which the fools steal the wisdom of the sages. What is my joy if all hands, even the unclean, can reach into it? What is my wisdom if even the fools can dictate to me? What is my freedom if all creatures, even the botched and impotent, are my masters? What is my life if I am to bow, to agree, and to obey? But I am done with this creative corruption. I am done with the monster of we, the word of serfdom, of plunder, of misery, falsehood, and shame. And now I see the face of God, and I raise this God over the earth, this God whom men have sought since men came into being, this God who shall grant them joy and peace and pride, this God, this one word, I. It was when I read the first of the books I found in my home that I saw the word I, and when I understood this word, the book fell from my hands, and I wept. I had never known tears. I wept in deliverance and in pity for mankind. I understood the blessed thing which I had called my curse. I understood why the best in me had been my sins and my transgressions, and why I had never felt guilt in my sins. I understood that centuries of chains and lashes will not kill the spirit of man, nor the sense of truth within him. I read many books for many days. Then I called the Golden One, and I told her what I had read and what I had learned. She looked at me, and the first words she spoke were, I love you. Then I said, my dearest one, it is not proper for men to be without names. There was a time when each man had a name of his own to distinguish him from other men, so let us choose our names. I've read of a man who lived many thousands of years ago, and of all the names in the books, his is the one I wish to bear. He took the light of the gods and brought it to men, and he taught men to be gods, and he suffered for his deeds, as all bearers of light must suffer. His name was Prometheus. It shall be your name, said the Golden One. And I have read of a goddess, I said, who is the mother of the earth and of all gods. Her name was Gaia. Let this be your name, my Golden One, for you are the mother of a new kind of gods. It shall be my name, said the Golden One. Now I look ahead. My future is clear before me. The saint of the Pyre had seen the future when he chose me as his heir. As the heir of all the saints and all the martyrs who came before him, and who died for the same cause, for the same word, no matter what name they gave to their cause or their truth. I shall live here in my house. I shall take my food from the earth by the toil of my hands. I shall learn many secrets from my books. Through the years ahead, I shall rebuild the achievements of the past and open the way to carry them further. The achievements which are open to me, but closed forever to my brothers, for their minds are shackled to the weakest and dullest among them. I have learned that my power of the sky was known to men long ago. They called it electricity. It was the power that moved the greatest inventions. It lit this house with light, which came from those globes of glass on the walls. I have found the engine which produced this light. I shall learn how to repair it and how to make it work again. I shall learn how to use the wires which carry this power. Then I shall build a barrier of wires around my home and across the paths which lead to my home, a barrier of light as a cobweb, more impassable than a wall of granite. A barrier my brothers will never be able to cross, for they have nothing to fight me with, save the brute force of their numbers. I have my mind. Then here, on this mountaintop, with the world below me and nothing above me but the sun, I shall live my own truth. Gaia is pregnant with our child. Our son will be raised as a man. He will be taught to say I, and to bear the pride of it. He will be taught to walk straight and on his own feet. He will be taught reverence for his own spirit. When I shall have read all the books and learned my new way, when my home will be ready and my earth tilled, I shall steal one day for the last time into the cursed city of my birth. I shall call to me my friend, who has no name save International 48818, and all those men, Fraternity 25503, who cries without reason, and Solidarity 96347, who calls for help in the night, and few others. I shall call them to me, all the men and women whose spirits has not been killed with them, and who suffer under the yoke of their brothers. They will follow me, and I shall lead them to my fortress, and here in this uncharted wilderness, I and they, my chosen friends, my fellow builders, shall write the first chapter in a new history of man. These are the things before me, and I stand here at the door of glory. I look behind me for the last time. I look upon the history of man, which is learned from the books, and I wonder, it was a long story, and a spirit which moved it was the spirit of man's freedom. And what is freedom? Freedom from what? There is nothing to take men's freedom away from him, save other men. To be free, a man must be free of his brothers. That is freedom, that and nothing else. At first, man was enslaved by the gods, but he broke their chains. Then he was enslaved by the kings, but he broke their chains. He was enslaved by his birth, by his kin, by his race, but he broke their chains. He declared to his brothers that a man has rights which neither God nor king nor other man can take away from him, no matter what their numbers. For this is the right of man, and there is no right on earth above this right. And he stood on the threshold of the freedom for which the blood of the centuries behind him had been spilled. But then he gave up all he had won and fell lower than his savage beginning. What brought it to pass? What disaster took their reason away from men? What whip lashed them to their knees in shame and submission? The worship of the word we. When men accept that worship, the structure of centuries collapsed about them, the structure whose every beam had come from the thought of some one man, each in his day, down the ages, from the depth of some one spirit, such spirit as existed but for its own sake. Those men who survived, those eager to obey, eager to live for one another, since they had nothing else to vindicate him, those men neither carry on nor preserve what they had received. Thus did all thought, all science, all wisdom perish on earth. Thus did men with nothing to offer save their great number, lost the steel towers, the flying ships, the power wires, all the things they had created and could never keep. Perhaps later some men had been born with the mind and the courage to recover these things which were lost. Perhaps these men came before the council of scholars. They were answered as I have been answered, and for the same reasons. But I still wonder how it was possible, in those graceless years of transition long ago, that men did not see whither they were going, and went on, in blindness and cowardice, to their fate. I wonder, for it is hard for me to conceive of how men who knew the word I could give it up and not know what they had lost. But such has been the story, for I have lived in the city of the damned, and I know what horror men permits to be brought upon them. Perhaps in those days there were few among men, a few of clear sight and clean soul, who refused to surrender that word. What agony must have been theirs before which they saw coming, and could not stop. Perhaps they cried out and protested in warning, but men paid no heed to their warning. And they, those few, fought a hopeless battle, and they perished with their banners smeared by their own blood. And they chose to perish, for they knew, to them I send my salute across the centuries and my pity. Theirs is to be the banner in my hands, and I wish I had the power to tell them that the despair of their hearts was not to be final, and their night was not in hope, for the battle they lost can never be lost, for that which they died to save can never perish. Through all the darkness, through all the shame of which we are capable, the spirit of man will remain alive on this earth. It may sleep, but it will awaken. It will wear chains, but it will break through, and man will go on. Man, not men. Here on this mountain, I and my sons and my chosen friends shall build our new land and our fort, and it will become the heart of the earth, lost and hidden at first, but beating louder each day. And word of it will reach every corner of the earth, and the roads of the world will become as veins, which will carry the best of the world's blood to my threshold. And all my brothers and the council of my brothers will hear it, but they will be impotent against me. And the day will come when I shall break all the chains of the earth and raise the cities of the enslaved, and my home will become the capital of the world, where each man will be free to exist for his own sake. For the coming of that day shall I fight, I and my sons and my chosen friends, for the freedom of man, for his rights, for his life, for his honor. And here, over the portals of my fort, I shall raise in the stone the word which shall be my beacon and my banner. The word which shall not die, should we all perish in battle. The word which can never die on this earth, for it is the heart of it and the meaning and the glory, the sacred word, ego. And that's how this book ends. I hope you enjoyed Anthem. I really hope you'll go back and read all of it. This book really changed my life. If you like the last 2 chapters, you will love the rest of the book. So below, I've also included links to my Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. I've also included a free PDF download of this book. And I've also included links to my song Shrug, which you've heard at the beginning of this video. So remember, guys, knowledge is not for all men, but for those who seek it. So keep seeking.